and it is a traditional pork pies recipe and Ploughman's lunch, step by step. This is a little different than what we usually do. A little bit, kind of the same, but a little different. But I haven't seen this before. Um, but I thought that this might be a good video. I just had a little brunch, so hopefully this won't make me too hungry. But I will link this video in the description, and also there is a link in the description as well that you could go to and see how to support the channel. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this going.
Well, hey there, folks. How are you doing? It's lovely to see you again. So, thanks very much for coming over just to check out this corker of a recipe for these stunning pork pies. We are going to be having a ploughman's lunch. So, of course, the pork pies were on the cards. This is the first time that I've ever made these from scratch, and let me tell you, they are so easy to make and much nicer than anything you'll buy from the shops. But they do take a wee bit.
The person doing this is Scottish, right? That's what it sounds like.
A time, but in my opinion, well worth it. So let me go and show you how I put these together. And as usual, all of the ingredients will be underneath in the description box. So the first thing you want to do is make your pastry. So I've got plain flour, butter, lard, salt, and also water. All we're going to do is melt these down on the hob. So go over to your cooker and on a sort of low to medium heat, just pop all of your ingredients into your pan, and like I said, we're just going to melt these down and make them all lovely and combined. It doesn't take you long at all, just take you a few minutes. And this is hot water pastry, and it's the easiest pastry you will ever make. It's idiot proof. You know, if I can do this, anybody can do this. Once everything is melted, turn your heat off, pop in your flour and teaspoon of salt. Just give it a good stir round. Just keep stirring until everything is combined. You might be thinking at the beginning, this is never going to turn into a dough. It looks so dry. But because of the heat in the pan and all the fat in there, you know, it does all come together. So just keep stirring and batting it around until you've eventually got a nice smooth ball. It's all coming away from the edges and there's nothing sticking. And you won't really need to knead this because most of the work is done in the pans, you know, so it's ideal.
That's
So that was
awesome.
perfect. Go.
That's one thing I hate. Because I've made like sourdough and other types of breads, and I hate uh, getting that on my hands and getting it all stuck all over the place. I like that you don't even really have to touch it. That's fantastic.
Over to your work surface and lightly flour just to make sure that it doesn't stick. Tip it out of your pan, and as you can see, it's very loose, so we are going to have to let this rest for a couple of hours, or at least a couple of hours, just so that it toughens up a wee bit, because we do want it to be mouldable. So pop that into some cling film, and like I said, do let it rest minimum.
Well, I spoke too soon, but I will say, it doesn't look like it's like crusty on her hands or anything. It looks like it's a really good consistency.
Of 2 hours, but I actually gave mine overnight. I made my pastry and my filling at night, and I just left them and picked up again the next morning. So that's what I would suggest. But if you want to do it in the one day, give it at least 2 hours. Start this in the morning. Now we're going to do the filling, and I'm just going to pop this in the fridge with the pastry. So I'm starting off with this pork mince. You do want quite a high fat pork mince and a couple of these wee loin steaks. I'm just going to cut the fat off and cut it up very finely. So pop your mince into the bowl, followed by your pork loin. So you're going to get a nice mixture of the fatty mince and the lean pork loin. These are the seasonings that I've used here, but you can change these or leave them out completely, but always put in, you know, a wee bit of salt and pepper because it does help. But you know, you can add or take away whatever seasonings you don't like. But these are the ones that I used here. And it's just a wee bit of each, not much at all. Then get in with your fingers and your hands. You just want to squash everything together until it's nicely combined. And exactly the same with the pastry. You just want to pop this into some cling film, shape it into a bit of a ball, and then just pop this into the fridge again for a minimum of 2 hours. But like I said, I done my pastry at night and just popped everything into the fridge and picked up the next morning. So just pop that in next to your pastry. Like I said, if you do want to do this on the same day, you will need to start early in the morning and give it about 2 hours. So this was my pastry, just out of the fridge, and I would say let this get up to room temperature. It will be easier to work with. So if you follow the recipe, you'll have around 500 grams of pastry, 250 grams for each pie. So you want to use 200 grams for each of your cases and the other 50 grams for your lids. So just shape it into a ball and then flatten it down into a sort of disc shape, just like this. This is ideal. And then exactly the same, just weigh out your lid. So about 50 grams for your lid, and again just roll it into a ball and then shape it into a sort of flat disc. Not too flat because we are going to roll it down anyway. So you've got your lid and you've got your case there. The rest of the pastry I'm going to keep till later. I'm just going to show you me doing one at the moment. So grab a jam jar and also some flour for your surface. Do make sure your surface is well floured in case anything sticks. So grab your jam jar, or you could use a wine bottle if you don't have a jam jar. Just give it a wee wiggle in the centre, rock it back and forward, and it will start coming up the sides of your jar. Give it a wee hand, put your thumbs on the top of the jar and sort of pull the jar down and pull the pastry up with the flats of your hands. It's really, really easy, and it kind of happens on its own. It's a bit magical, really. And you'll be left with something like this. It'll be nice and even on the sides and on the base. And then with your lid, you just want to roll it out just a wee bit bigger than the top of your pie or your pie case. Just keep rolling. And I'm just going to grab a cookie cutter, which is around about the same size as the top of the pie. And you also want a wee hole in the top. So I've just grabbed a piping nozzle, which was exactly the right size. This is easier to do this now, obviously, than when it's on top of the pie. So that's the different elements of your pie case done. And now we're going to move on to the filling. So you want to weigh out roughly about 140 grams will do fine. Just roll it into a ball. Drop it in, and with your middle two fingers, just sort of tease it out to the edges. You don't want it all the way to the edge because we are going to fill this up with jelly. So you want a wee bit of gap down there, and as this is cooking in the oven, it will shrink a wee bit anyway. Pop your lid on and it will sort of sit inside, and you just want to go around the edges with your fingers and sort of pinch your lid and your case.
It's so cute. Like she's eh, this is amazing to me that I don't know, it just seems like there's so little like home cooking like this traditional cooking done anymore, especially not here. I mean, some people do it, don't get me wrong. People absolutely do it and they'll spend a lot of time prepping and making everything ready. But I don't. I usually don't. Now, when my grandmother lived with me, definitely cooked more. But I mean, I'm good at it. I think I'm a pretty good cook. I mean, I can read a recipe and follow it. I don't think there's a lot more to it than that, but I don't know. I think I got a little burned out because now I'm just like, I just want to do something quick and easy.
Together just to create a nice seal all the way around. And once you're happy, I'm going to do a wee bit of crimping. So with your right hand, if you get it into sort of pinching shape, and then your index.
It's so tiny. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so much work for just this tiny little thing that would be for like what two people? Because she said it also shrinks too, and then would have to put like additional things with it so that two people could. I mean, I know she didn't use all of it, and she had some more that she set aside, but that's just like it seems like so much work for just something so small.
Finger from your other hand just to sort of poke it in to the wee gap that you've got, and you'll get this nice effect on the top. It's really easy. Grab an egg, beat it lightly, and you just want to brush this all over the sides, all over the top, and get into all those wee nooks and crannies. And this is going to give you a lovely glossy pastry. Just going to try and get some of that flour that's on the work surface onto the underside of the pie just to make sure it doesn't stick, but you've got it on greaseproof paper so it shouldn't. You want to pop this into the oven for 20 minutes on a higher temperature and then lower the temperature of your oven, and give it 50 minutes, and this will be your end result. Now, I like to test the inside of the pie and it should be over 70 degrees. So
That looks so good. That pastry crust is just beautifully golden. That looks so good.
this was absolutely fine. Now you want to let this sit for about an hour just to cool down a good bit before you pop in your jelly. If you're deciding to use jelly, you don't have to, but this is traditional. So grab yourself a couple of sheets of gelatin, pop them into some cold water to soften, get over to your cooker, and you want a stock cube or a stock pot, anything like that, but you want to end up with 200 mils of chicken stock. If you're making 2 pies, you'll get about 100 mils in each pie. So make sure that's all bubbly and nicely combined. And then grab your gelatin, squeeze the excess water out, and we're just going to pop that into the hot stock. So turn your attention to your pie. Just make sure it's not stuck and it's nicely free moving. Put a couple of holes into the top of your pie just to let the air escape as you pop your jelly in. So I'm just using a funnel because this is easiest to do. Pop your gelatin in, like I said, give it a wee stir round just until it dissolves. Get your nozzle into your pie and slowly.
What is this? What is this she's putting on here? I've never seen like those sheets, the I guess gelatin by itself. Like I don't see it. I've never used it. I'm sure we probably have it, uh, but I've never seen that before. Like what we have is a jelly is more like your all's jam. Um, when I think of like, I mean, there's like Jello, which has, I would assume has gelatin in it, but we have them in like the little boxes, and it's more of like a powder. I don't know what this is. It like a gravy she's putting in there? Did it
Fill up
thicken
your
it
pie
up?
with that jelly. Just keep going until you can't get any more in, and it's just coming up to the top of your wee hole there at the top. Like I said, do it nice and slowly so it's not spilling everywhere. And as you can see, it is right at the top of the pie. So now you want to let this jelly set, and you might have to do this overnight depending on what time you're actually making them. If you're doing this first thing in the morning, it might be set by the end of the day. But if you're doing this sort of mid-afternoon, it won't obviously be set the next day. So you will know yourself according to when you're making your pies. And like I said, we are having a ploughman's lunch. That's why I made these wee pies. And I'm just going to show you what they're like inside, and then I'll move on and show you that ploughman's lunch. And you can just see there how well that.
What does the gelatin do? I mean, I see it there around the edges. But like, does it give like I mean, like, what kind of flavor does that add to it? If you guys know, please comment and let me know.
That jelly has set, and it's managed to find its way down around the pie. So this was our wee ploughman. So I've got some buttered bread, sliced apple, Branson pickle, tomato, some sharp cheddar, a wee bit of ham, that pork pie, some coleslaw, some onion chutney, and of course a couple of pickled onions as well. A ploughman's lunch is just one of those things. People, you can argue with people about a ploughman's lunch. Some folk will say, you've got to have celery, or you don't add this, or you've got to have this or that, or it's completely up to you. You have whatever.
That was really cool. I like. I'm gonna go back. So I guess you could get more out of it than just something for two people, because it looks like she's just sliced up some pretty thin. Well, I keep trying to get back to it. There we go. I think. No, it's still behind the thing. But it looks like she just kind of sliced it up to about really the size of this bread here. Um, yeah, with all this looks great. This looks fantastic. It looks like what I just ate for brunch a little bit better. This looks way better. I ate like some cheddar slices and some crackers and some like spreadable cheese and some salami cuts and some grapes. But this looks absolutely fabulous. This looks so good. What would you do with the Branston pickle? Would you like eat it with the pork pie or would you put it over on the bread? Because I have seen the Branston pickle a couple places and I don't know that I would like it. I love dill pickles, but I don't like sweet pickles and I don't like gherkins. And I know I'm pretty positive that it's gherkins. So I don't know that I would like that. But all this other stuff looks great. I've never had was it pickled onions, she said, but I can see that being really good. I do love onions and I love tomatoes just with salt and pepper. Golly, that looks really good. So maybe it was definitely worth all the work. And then she's got more, so they could eat this. They could eat on this for a while. That's a really good video. I enjoyed that. I wouldn't mind watching some more of these cooking videos. It might give me some good ideas of how I can like make some of this stuff at home to actually try it. But yeah, let me know because this is about you guys. So let me know if this is something that you all enjoyed, if you'd want to see more of these cooking videos, and yeah, just thanks for sticking it out with me to the end here, and don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and have a great, great day.